episodic? Or is it episodic?
I think it's episodic.
Episodic.
Sodic. You just gotta remember Sodic.
You gotta emphasize the dick.
Yeah.
See, so I say it episodic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, episodic.
yeah. But some people say episodic.
Yeah.
And as Troy just pointed out, he says episodic.
I don't say it like that.
Is that how you say it?
That sounds. You say it like I'm talking about somebody epi who saw me with my pants off.
See, I think it all comes down to where we are, geographically. I think it's just one of those things.
But me and you are geographically basically in the same place, and we say it differently. I would say episodic.
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 Yeah, you say it.
Wait, no,
episodic.
I said episodic.
Yeah.
Yeah, episodic. I think that's because I grew up in Nevada.
Blame Nevada.
See, I would say Nevada.
No, it's Nevada.
Listen, you say episodic, I
would
say
know.
episodic. Let's call the whole thing off.
Essentially, it does have to do geographically and like accents and stuff. The hardness of the D in the word. I know how that sounds.
All about that.
When I was writing it last, when I was
When you were
explaining this
writing
in
the
chat,
D?
no,
The Enterprise D.
when I was writing in chat last night and I used that exact same term, I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna like explain that right now. I'll do it when we talk about it. But
Do you realize, MC, that what you actually said to explain how you weren't going to explain it was, tomorrow I'll show you using my mouth.
I did say that because I just lent into the weirdness of everything I was saying, because I also said that the E in episode, because when you say episode, it's the E softens the D, and when you say episodic, it's you harden the D is hardened again. Listen, it's not my fault. It's how the word is spelled.
The D is
Oh,
hardened.
man.
Oh.
Can we go talk about Star Trek now?
Yeah,
Sure.
Speaking of something that's episodic.
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 It reminds me of the time that you found out that bestiary is not
Oh,
how it's
God,
said.
no. It's bestiary. It's so pretentious. I hate it.
So on that note, welcome to Too Young for This Trek. The
Hey,
podcast.
yeah, Eric, it's your turn to intro.
Oh, God. The podcast where we watch random episodes of Star Trek with someone who's never seen it before. I'm Eric.
I'm Troy.
I'm MC.
I'm Tyler, and I'm the one who's never seen it before. And this is Hazel the ferret. You can't see her, and she doesn't really
She's
make
half
sounds,
see-through.
but she's here.
So yeah, we just watched Flashback, which
We
was an
did.
episode of Voyager.
Yeah, it was season 3, episode 2, I think.
Correct.
Yep.
Ooh.
You sent me something. I'm supposed to do that, huh, Tyler?
Oh yeah, we forgot that I needed to predict if it was a good or bad episode. So I recorded that and sent it to Troy, and we're going to play it right now as I get bitten by a ferret named Hazel. So I don't really know much about Voyager. I'm pretty sure this is the series that 7 of 9s is from. Is it 9s or 9? I don't know. No clue if she's a main character or if she's recurring. Maybe she's only on 2 episodes, like our good friend O'Reilly. I think the ship's name is Voyager, and I think the captain's name is Janeway. I think. I'm
Nice.
also pretty sure this is a Ferengi heavy season. Maybe we'll see one on this episode. I mean, series. Yeah. So about the episode, if I think it's good or bad, I am thinking, since Eric said that there's a lot of bad episodes of Voyager, and I've generally heard people not say too positive of things. But when Eric said that when they do good episodes, they're really good. So with that, and the fact that Sulu's coming back, I'm assuming they had to have a good script for George Takei to decide to come back. So I'm going to say it's going to be a good episode. Was I right?
We'll find out later, Tyler. We can't tell you yet.
Yeah.
So, having heard your predictions there, now obviously you've watched it since recording that. I have to ask a couple things. First of all, what do you think of the theme song for Voyager? That's the most important question, I think.
That's definitely an important question.
I did really find it to be very memorable.
Uh-huh.
I
That is the
can't
correct
tell
answer.
you anything about it right now.
That is the correct answer.
Yeah.
So I think it was Troy and I were talking about this the other day, right?
Which thing? We talk about a lot of things, Eric.
We do. We do. Oh, that's awesome. Is that a robe?
That is a robe.
That is awesome. Okay, so the original series had, of course, the classic theme with the bongo drums and Troy singing like a lady. There's like a theremin and stuff. The TNG theme is more of the iconic theme. That one, which we'll get to, obviously, it's a little bit more bombastic, has a little bit of a synthy vibe going on. This one feels a little bit more like a simple, generic, spacey theme.
Becky always says this one reminds her of Disneyland. She feels like it's something she would hear just wandering around at Disneyland. Like, not an iconic Disneyland song, but just like that's a nice background song type Disney song.
Yeah, totally. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think Tyler hit the nail on the head. It's not very memorable.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember anything to describe it, and it's like, I think there was some orchestral stuff in there, I think. But yeah, that's about it. So one thing I was both right and wrong on is the captain's name. I totally thought her first name was Jane.
You thought her name was Jane Spaceway?
Yep.
That's fantastic.
So yeah. I was very surprised when I found out that Janeway is one word.
That's good.
Oh,
That's
what do you
very
think
good.
of the the visuals for the intro? What are your thoughts on that?
Again, they were kind of not very memorable, but what I did think about this show's from the 90s, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
late 90s.
Did they do you know if the ships were models in this, or did they use CGI for it all?
This is the first Star Trek series. I believe that this is the first Star Trek series that is exclusively CGI for the ships. I think. I might be mistaken.
I think that's right.
Okay, so I thought that might have been the case, because I just remember the visuals overall when they show outside of the ship just looking kind of like flat. Like, with the models, like usually, like even with the original series episode we saw, it would like looked really crisp and everything, but like, yeah, it didn't look very great.
All right, I have a few more Voyager episodes, but I think we should talk about this, or not episodes, questions, but I think we should talk about this episode first. So Tyler, which one was this again?
So this is the one where Tuvok falls victim to a virus he contracted 80 years ago while serving alongside Captain Sulu on the Excelsior. And then Janeway has to mind meld with him to try and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I was very surprised to find out that he's like 100 and something.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. One of the questions I want to ask is what you learned about the Star Trek universe, but I don't remember if I told MC and Eric that one or not, but I think that's a good question to ask each episode.
I think that's a great question.
Can we find like a generic copyright-free version of that, like, the more you know jingle, and play that each time you learn something about the Star Trek universe?
Sure.
Because that'd be cool.
Vulcans apparently get real old, because he's 109 and he looks like 30.
The more you know.
So one of the things I love about Trek is that it's constantly world building on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
They'll constantly add something completely new. It's like, where did that come from? But
And usually it fits fairly well. Not always, but usually.
Usually. So yeah, I kind of like that aspect of it. It's a lot different than something like Lord of the Rings, where there's a deep, rich mythology that was thought out way in advance.
Right.
It's the opposite of that.
It's like what Star Wars does, but good?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if maybe Spock's different because he's half human, but I'm thinking the J.J. Abrams film has an old Spock in it. So I'm like, is he 1,000?
He's exactly 1,000. You got it.
Am I
right.
allowed to answer that?
He's not that old.
I guess you've seen that one.
I want to say he's almost 200, right?
Yeah.
Because he's from Picard's time.
Yeah, because Tyler, do you remember how old Spock ended up in J.J. Abrams'
I'm looking
universe?
it up. Googling that shit.
Google that shit, yeah, Google that shit, yeah, Google that shit all day long. Google that shit, yeah, Google that shit, yeah, Google that shit all day long.
Just Google that shit and Google that shit. Do you remember though, Tyler, how old Spock ended up in the J.J. Abrams universe?
Was there time travel involved? I can't remember exactly.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to give you a little hint, because you kind of know about this from Picard. It was the destruction of Romulus.
Yeah, I remember that happening. Because that happens in like the beginning of the movie with Thor's there.
Well,
Yeah.
kind of. It's complex. Time travel's weird. Luckily, we don't have any time travel in this episode. Oopsies. We kind of do.
Kind of.
But before we get to time
I
travel,
have the answer.
we have to find out how old Spock was.
Well, when he died in the past... Wait, is this a spoiler? I think this is a spoiler.
Well, I mean, we talked about him being dead before because he's dead in that one movie.
Well, he's died a couple times.
Okay.
Okay, so Spock's
The most recent time he died, which was very far in the past. Shit.
in the past.
But it's closest to our time, so it's the most proximal time he died?
Don't hurt your brain. Yeah. He was 162.
Really? I thought he would be older than that.
Me too. But yeah, he was 162 when we last saw him, which was not long after the Abrams one.
Oh.
So like a couple years after that.
Before Tyler was introduced to the Voyager theme song, Voyager introduced itself with a bang by being like, "Hey Tyler, check it out. Neelix is making juice for Tuvok." And I watched this, I like paused this about 12 seconds in and was like, this is going to be the very first thing Tyler ever sees of Star Trek Voyager. I am delighted.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have lots of questions about that scene in particular.
We have made a pact to not answer most of your questions, but we might answer some of them.
Okay, I'm still going to ask them. So,
Yes.
what is he?
Well, he's a Vulcan, and they come from the planet Vulcan. And
Neelix is a Vulcan?
No, Tuvok.
Oh, yeah, I know what Tuvok is.
That was the joke, just no one stopped me.
I was like, how is he a Vulcan? He has like lizard skin on the top of his head or something.
Well, he's called a Talaxian. I think I can tell you that safely.
Yeah. I was wondering if we should tell him. He's not from the Alpha Quadrant like the rest of the members of the crew. That's
Okay.
He's
just
far
leave it
out,
at
man.
Yeah.
Did you?
He's an interesting character.
Do you like him, Tyler? Like, what did this intro do for you as a new viewer of Star Trek Voyager?
It made me.
Do you already hate the show? From that scene alone?
It made me ask a lot of questions. Like, one, they mentioned, well, this is later in the show, but it's relevant to now, that they didn't have replicators back in the day of Kirk and Spock. Mm-hmm. But in that last episode, like before the knife fight, this guy goes up to a window. Mm-hmm. And there's like nothing on the other side, and he just pulls a tray out of it, and that's where his food came from. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was just like a replicator back in the 60s. They were just like, you open a door, there's food in it. So,
well, that would be a food dispenser.
Okay.
It's not the same for some reason. I don't know.
Similar.
Some questions I will answer. Some questions I won't answer because it's interesting not to. That one I won't answer because I don't get it either. Like, what's the difference? I don't know. But they have one and not the other.
Okay. And so they have replicators now. So why is Nilix like cooking over what appears to be a garbage fire?
That's a great question.
It looks like he's cooking over a trash can.
That one I will not answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not going to answer that because it might come up later.
That will come up.
I love that you described it as a garbage fire.
Yeah, that's amazing. That needs to be a meme.
Man. Second question. Would you wear his apron?
I don't remember his apron.
It's yellow and full of brightly colored pastel geometric shapes.
Looks like the
I'm asking this
UPN
because
logo.
I would wear this apron. When Christmas comes around, if anyone wants to give me a Christmas present, I would wear this apron.
How about the matching chef's hat?
I would wear the hat.
I'm trying to see if I took a screenshot of him, because I think I did. Okay, yeah, I see it.
So just to prove how nerdy I am, I actually have a cookbook, like Neelix's cookbook,
You have the Neelix cookbook? I'm so jealous.
signed by the actor.
Ooh, that's so cool.
That's really cool.
It's weird, but it's cool.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty random. It's one of the most random pieces of memorabilia I have.
Aside from his dumpster fire, what did you think of the character of Neelix? I'm not going to ask about Tuvok yet, because we'll have lots of time to talk about him.
He was fine. I felt bad for him when he found out he was losing his pantry, because they have to store gas in it. And I'm also curious why they're like, storing gas, how the mechanics of that, but, you know.
Force fields.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
What MC
There's
said.
got to be better places to store it than his pantry. They're planning on getting a lot of gas.
His pantry is essentially a storage bay.
Yeah, he's got a whole storage bay for a pantry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, essentially, storage bays on these spaceships are multi-purpose, and they can store whatever, which is why you can store gas in them. I'm guessing there's some way that they can compact the gas a little bit in there. I'm not sure how they would do that, but definitely force fields have something to do with keeping the gas in the room.
Okay. But yeah, I didn't really get too big of a feel for Nilix. Like, he seemed okay. He seemed like he'd be like comedic relief.
That's his role, pretty much.
Yeah, he does other things. He does other things.
I feel like this episode probably could have used more of him, because there were a lot of it that was kind of boring.
So I'm not the biggest Neelix fan. Wait, how much should we get into this right now? Should we wait?
The person that has a book signed by him.
This is a Tuvok episode. I think we should focus on Tuvok and Janeway.
Okay.
Neelix just,
We'll get back to him.
Neelix basically introduced Tyler to Voyager, so I felt like he deserved some mentioning.
Is he like the Jar Jar Binks of the series?
Yeah.
I was literally about to say that. Like, I don't hate him, but a lot of fans consider him to be the Jar Jar Binks of Star Trek.
We will have plenty of good and bad episodes where we can spend a whole lot more time on Neelix.
Okay.
This one, though, they go to the bridge, they're gonna get some gas. Oh no, Tuvok's freaking out, and he sees a little girl falling off a cliff.
Help me, Tuvok!
No, don't draw me, not Neelix, your name is Tuvok, don't draw me, Tuvok, no!
Also, we should mention that gas is ceruleum, because they say ceruleum about 1,000 times in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
They really
They
do.
do.
Beryllium? That's highly combustible, isn't it?
And then everyone's fighting over applications for the Silurian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Like, everybody on the bridge wants to do something different with it. They're like, no, it'll be great for the kitchen. No, it'll blow you up. It'll be great for the engines. Actually, it'll really help with the security systems. Like, shut up, everybody. I'll do what I want because I'm the captain.
I'm going to use
Beef
it for
up them
crafting. She's got like a scrapbook that it somehow helps with.
This episode's a weird one to discuss. We're like 4 minutes in.
Yeah, I know.
Nothing's happened yet.
Essentially, Tuvok starts freaking out because of the visual of the nebula that they're going to get this gas from.
Yeah. He has this, what seems to be a traumatic memory that he doesn't remember.
Yeah, so he has a memory that he doesn't remember experiencing.
Sickbay's like, it's probably some sort of repressed thing. And he's like, yeah, but I was emotional. And hey, hello, Vulcan here, don't get emotional. That doesn't make sense.
And the doctor says something along the lines of, if you were human, I would say that you had a panic attack.
Yeah, and Tuvok's like, well, I ain't a human. So, yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is that if I didn't already know from you talking about the episode where the doctor shows Andy Dick his dick, I would have no clue he was a hologram. Like, there's no indication.
So one of the things we talked about behind your back before this episode was nobody mentioned the word hologram, because if he doesn't remember, this episode doesn't tell you the doctor's a hologram.
That's true.
Yeah, there's absolutely no indication that he is a hologram of this.
There is one indication. He doesn't have any pips on his collar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Everyone else has pips on their collar, but the doctor doesn't, because he doesn't have a rank, because he's not a person.
But he does have a medical degree.
Hey, holograms are people too.
That's right. So says the shirt that I'm not legally allowed to sell because somehow CBS owns it, even though I don't understand what happened there.
That is so
anyway, so Tuvok's like, I gotta get my brain straight, and Kess is like, cool Lego set, and then he's like, hey, Janeway,
blocks.
can we do a mind meld?
Basically.
You know, I will say for his Lego set, he is balancing that shit with his eyes closed. That's kind of impressive. Even if he breaks it.
Atticus agrees.
Yeah, Atticus is like, I do that shit all the time. It's all about structure, logic, and control.
So in the mind meld, we see a flashback, hence the title.
There's nothing else important before that, right?
I guess the only thing important to mention is that if he was human, he would just see a psychiatrist. But since he's Vulcan, his mind has to...
Oh, right. It can be damaging for Vulcans to have
like his
repressed memory or
conscious,
something.
his conscious mind has to somehow accept the repressed memory or something like that. Or he'll get brain damage.
That's what we call a Brandon Braga-ism. You just have to go with it.
Well said.
Now, Tyler, we watched the preview for this episode last week. Watching the preview for this episode last week, like, this episode, like, you see the trailer and you're like, shit, it's a Sulu episode, right? It's a Sulu episode. We're gonna hang out with Sulu. It takes 17 minutes to get to Sulu.
Yeah, I wanted to say, you were like, nothing important's happened yet. And I was like, yeah, but we're like 30 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
It is, I just checked, it is 17 minutes episode in to the, 47-minute episode is when you actually get Sulu appearing. That's too long for a Sulu episode.
It's not even that long. It's half an hour.
What? Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me check. Oh,
Isn't
wait. No, it is 17 minutes and 16 seconds is when they start the mind meld. We've just been talking for half an hour because we are very, very slow at this.
Fair enough.
We spend like 20 minutes talking about episodic.
We did.
Let's not bring it up again.
I just have to say, though, that while it takes way too long to get to Sulu, the shot where it's like, it's on the bridge and you see the old uniforms and you're like, what the hell's going on? And Janeway's stumbling around and then Sulu like jumps out of a cloud of smoke. It works for me. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this.
That's the thumbnail for the episode. One thing I wanted to mention about Voyager in general is this episode seemed very, very dark. Are all episodes this dark? I mean, not tonally, but like visually.
Yes.
I had to turn the brightness up on my laptop.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff about the making of Voyager. And one of the things is that they like wanted to make it really intense. And so it has a lot of like high contrast stuff to it. I think more so than like other Star Trek, including Deep Space Nine, which I think is more tonally dark. But like, I feel like Voyager is visually darker than the other two shows of the same era, Next Gen and Deep Space Nine. At least to me. Hey, no, never mind. I had an interesting fact, but it was wrong, so I'm just going to pretend that I didn't interrupt. So, anyway...
I want to know what it is.
I was going to say, hey, this is the first season of Voyager when it's the only Star Trek on the air, but that's just completely wrong, because at this point, Deep Space Nine was in season 5.
And the movies were still going on, too.
Well, that don't count. I just did the math backwards. Season 6 is the first season where it's the only Star Trek on the air.
When did Enterprise start? Did that start after
Immediately
Voyager?
after Voyager. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was overlap there.
Yeah, they took a summer break and got some widescreen cameras and started filming Enterprise.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. So, Sulu is now the captain of the Excelsior, which is a cool name for a ship.
That's a great name.
Yeah. And they are in, what is it? What's the species? Klingon space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know what those are?
Klingons? Yeah. Sort of.
Did you see one in this episode?
Yeah, isn't there a Klingon that is on is the ship called Voyager?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't there a Klingon on the Voyager? Because there's a person with the forehead that's...
You're referring to B'Elanna Torres, yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll learn more about her in other episodes, too.
Okay.
We definitely will.
But is she a Klingon? Because I thought it was weird.
Well, we'll learn more about her after this commercial break.
Do you like video games? Ever thought about making a video game? Do you find that a week or 2 weeks is kind of short for a game jam? Well, have I got the game jam for you? With the We Can Make This Work Probably Game Jam. The jam runs from April 20th to June 9th to provide a nice amount of time for you to make something cool. And the theme is, if you can smell that fart, you're not far enough apart. Shout out to the Lebanon, Maine Fire Department for this meme. Check out the link in the description for more information and to figure out how to join and submit. Have fun!
Okay, Tyler, I said we were going to learn more about her, but what I meant was, like, way after that commercial break, because I'm not going to tell you anything about her. You have to wait till you pick a B'Elanna episode of Voyager.
You son of a bitch. You got me. Yeah, so I guess we're waiting for Eric now.
Let's just press on. He'll catch up. Or do you want to wait? I don't know.
Can we get Becky to do an Eric voice?
Yeah, Becky, come here.
What?
Come here.
What's happening?
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Did you watch the episode?
I mean, I've seen it. I haven't watched it recently.
Oh.
Can you give us a non-spoilery breakdown of your thoughts on Neelix? Because we spent a long time talking about this. But you can't mention any spoilers.
Neelix is not one of my favorite characters. I don't know. What am I supposed to say?
I don't know. Well, Tyler, tell her what you know about Neelix so she knows what she can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that Neelix cooks food over what appears to be burning, like a can of burning garbage.
Pretty much. Yeah. So Neelix cooks a lot of food. He basically makes meals for everybody instead of using the replicator. And most of the time, people suffer through his food.
Oh, okay. So his food's usually bad because it was actually good this episode, except for the one that he burned.
It's not very common for it to be good. Yeah. He uses a lot of very weird ingredients, and people are like, what the hell is this? He's whiny. That's why I don't like him. He's super whiny.
Yeah. He didn't really do much this episode, so... Yeah.
I'm sure you'll see more of him, and then you get to form your own opinion. How did you feel about the Doctor?
I wouldn't have known he was a hologram this episode if I wouldn't have known that from Troy telling me about the time that he tells Andy Dick that he had sex.
So you already knew going into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
actually hoping that he forgot.
Yeah, I know. Troy went into this thinking that he didn't know he was a hologram.
I forgot I told you about his dick.
Yeah, I like the Doctor a lot, so he becomes a very, very good character in Voyager.
There's a lot of characters in this episode I'm like, it does not show that character off at all. Like, there's a few one-liners by, like, Valena Torres and Chakotay and stuff, but it's like you don't see anything of them.
Yeah, I don't know who any of those people are.
Yeah. So pretty much there's like 5 characters in this episode. There's Janeway, Tuvok, Neelix, Kess, and the Doctor.
Okay. And those are all great characters. Well, mostly. Troy does not like Chakotay, and I like Chakotay more for the entertainment purposes of Chakotay. Do you know who Chakotay is, Tyler? Okay.
Not a clue.
Tyler, that's exactly why I don't like Chakotay.
We have little weird quips about each person, like the things they do on, like reoccurring things that they do in episodes that aren't really like pointed out. Chakotay goes native.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chakotay always goes native.
Listen, if there's an opportunity for Chakotay to side with the people of the planet, he gonna do it every time.
Yep. Every time. Hi, little guy. Hi.
Well, I don't want to delay y'all's dinner, so we can go ahead and start back, and Eric will show up eventually.
Oh, was Eric here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're stalling right now.
Oh.
Because Eric kind of took a step away for a bit. And instead of having dead time, I thought we could get a Becky segment in. And that way there's some content.
Okay, I'm going to go start dinner.
All right. We'll see you
I'm
later.
going to give you back to Troy.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Like, I don't know if I covered.
Ooh, that was dangerously
happened?
close to my toe.
Oh,
I'm just
sorry.
stomping out here with your stompers.
Stop.
Tyler, I broke my toe the other day.
Yeah. Have you told Tyler about that yet?
No.
You should tell him the story now.
Oh my God.
I kicked a doorstop real good. Now my second smallest toe is broken.
Oh. Is it actually
My head hurts.
broken, or is it just like...
The day it happened, we were pretty sure it was broken. Today, it actually feels much better, and it looks it's no longer black.
That's good.
So that's a good sign. But it still is a constant dull pain, and then occasionally I'll step slightly differently, and it's just shooting pain. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that I broke it. And then Becky says, yeah, it was black. And then the other fun thing about it was that because my toe was hurt, I was walking weird for 3 days. So now more than my toe hurting is just my whole right leg hurts from standing on it weird, which is why it's great that I'm standing up to record this podcast right now. Hi, Eric. Welcome back.
Hey, sorry guys. I had to stop by the sick bay. Neelix's food didn't sit great with me.
Okay, you have to cut me talking over him out of that time, because that was too good.
Sure.
What was Becky saying?
Becky said hi, and then I realized that you were going to say hi back, and then I was going to have to holler at her because neither of you can hear each other, and it just sucks. So just assume that she said hi to you, and then you said hi back.
Hey, Becky.
God damn it, he said, hey, Becky.
What was wrong with that?
Because I said to just assume it happened, because we all knew it happened. And then he did it anyway.
Why did you say hi?
Because then I just have to relay it back and forth. Didn't you hear me say all that?
No, I was eating ice.
She wasn't listening. She was getting ice.
I heard her getting ice. I was like, what does that sound?
That's the
All
sound
right,
of her
so,
getting ice, apparently.
Yeah.
Are hailing frequencies back on?
Oh, yeah, we've been going. We just haven't made any progress.
Yep.
Oh, God.
We were stalling for time with a Becky segment.
Becky came in and told Tyler about how Chakotay sucks. Anyway, moving on.
No, that's not what I said.
She's yelling at me from downstairs saying that's not what I said.
So I think where we were was we had Sulu stepping out of smoke, and he's like, oh my. I don't think he says that then.
My.
They just say
He says,
oh my God.
He says,
or
my
something
God.
Yeah.
It should have been oh my.
That's later on, but that was a good part of the episode. So they don't expect to be here because they were trying to go back to the time when Tuvok supposedly was a kid and this girl was falling to her
Right.
death. So
Yeah.
we need to talk about the weird framing mechanic of this, because basically the way it works is, I say basically, Tuvok's reliving his memories, but Janeway's there too, and she can talk to Tuvok, and he can just, like, he will keep typing whatever he's doing, which I'm like, is he thinking about it, or is that just because it happened before, he's doing it again? But he'll keep doing whatever he's doing and talking to her until someone else talks to him, and then he talks to them. So, like, she's like the ghost of Christmas past.
Yep.
Yeah, basically. It's dream mechanics.
Yeah, until his brain damage gets too bad.
Yeah.
That's true. But
I mean, memories are fallible.
yeah, that's true.
That would be great if that was the premise of the episode. If it kept playing the scene over and over again, but it changed a little bit each time because he didn't remember it perfectly, that'd be wonderful. That's not what this episode is, though.
What happens is they're trying to work out how he got to this place, and Janeway equates the attack that they're currently in on the Excelsior to him collapsing in the engineering by saying that he said that they were near Klingon space.
Oh, we skipped over that entirely, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, that happened.
And then Janeway's like, why are you fighting Klingons? And he's like, well, we have to go back 3 days. And then all of a sudden they're back 3 days in, like, crew quarters. And Tuvok's making tea for Sulu.
Yeah. So can we go back for a second to when he says that we're in Klingon space? Because the reason I was asking if that person was a Klingon is because she's in, like, the background right there. And I'm just like, that seems rude.
She's not in the background.
She's there.
What? On the Excelsior?
No.
No.
In engineering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, you don't have to tell me if she's a Klingon. We can go on. I just wanted to point out that seemed like an awkward, like possibly racist thing to say.
She's like, I'm standing right here.
But yeah, he's making the tea, and I guess is it Lieutenant? She's a lieutenant, isn't she?
Maybe. That sounds right.
Yeah.
He's an ensign.
Yeah. Tuvok's an ensign at this point.
In the flashback.
Yeah. And the lieutenant who shows up and tells all the other ensigns to be like, get to work, is talking to Tuvok, and he's like, I've noticed Sulu likes to have a cup of tea in the mornings, so I'm making him a Vulcan blend. And she's like, I wish I thought of that so I could get promoted faster. And he's like, that's not why I'm doing this. And then when he gives Sulu the cup of tea, he's like, oh, you'll be lieutenant in no time. And Tuvok's literally like, that's not why I did it. Like, he's very forward about, like, no, I just thought you would like tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did it for no ulterior motive.
Outstanding. I may have to give you a promotion.
And Sulu was like, if you're going to stay on this ship, you've got to get a sense of humor. And you can't tell me that Vulcans don't have a sense of humor. I'm guessing Spock does some funnies back in the day.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Spock's like going around putting whoopee cushions in chairs.
No, he just likes to throw shade a lot. Like, really subtly.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes not so subtly. He'll just, like, raise an eyebrow.
Oh, that's my favorite one. When he's not being subtle, and there's like 4 of them are talking, and one person will say something, and Spock will just raise his eyebrow at him, and everyone starts laughing.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, oh, burn.
So when Janeway sees Sulu, she mentioned something about him not looking like his portrait. Like, I guess
that was kind of a weird thing.
So I'm guessing, I don't fully understand the timeline, but I'm guessing George Takei is a lot older than Sulu is supposed to be at the time. So that's all I could figure is maybe what you meant by that.
I don't know if we can say.
No, you can't.
Okay, I'm not going to say. Because I could add some context here, but we'll actually get to that in future episodes.
Okay.
So...
Yeah. We don't want to spoil things for Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the way they explain that off is holographic imaging wasn't as good back then.
Yeah, the resolution wasn't as good back then.
Yeah.
That
Which
seems
is
funny to me.
It's a great line as well.
I mean, it is.
And it reminds me, I'm curious if it had to be like this for at least Eric. When you're watching this on CBS All Access, do you see at the top of it, you just see like the little white fuzzies like you do when you're watching a VHS?
Yeah, I saw that too. I wasn't sure if it was just my bad internet connection.
Yeah, I'm guessing these are just like they were ripped from like the original VHSs, so...
They probably were. It's definitely not HD quality, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not like the original series. I guess they redid some of the special effects and stuff.
They did a whole overhaul.
Yeah.
They did a complete remaster.
Yeah, because those look great.
I like how they did it, though. Yeah, what they did was they didn't like Star Wars Special Edition it. They just kind of made the effects look good for its time. You know, like made it look better on our TVs, basically.
Well, I'm pretty sure what they did was they just took the original footage and just
cleaned it up.
Yeah, just made the resolution better.
Definitely.
But they had to like relayer things. I saw something on Twitter the other day. That's what made me think about it. Anyways, back to the episode.
So, I'm actually watching it on Netflix because here in Australia they have the Star Trek series, and then another streaming service called Stan has all the movies.
Oh, that's cool.
But while the pictures, the 4x3, like the old TV, like 90s TVs, not the widescreen.
The box.
Yeah. But they've cleaned it up, so I don't have any of that, like, spotty stuff that you're talking about. Like, it's all nice. It looks nice on my TV, but I got these big black bars on either side. That's the only, that's the only thing. So, what happens next? After the tea, there's turbulence.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think he sees the nebula because that's what's causing it, and then he has the like flashback again. I can't remember.
No. Well, this is where Praxis blows up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they get hit by that shockwave.
Okay.
Yeah. Praxis is the Klingon moon that blew up. That was their main production of energy.
Yep.
For Kronos.
And so Sulu decides that they're going to go against Federation orders. Wait, does this happen next?
It can.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it does.
This is where Tuvok stands up to him, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Because Tuvok, at least at this point, is all about regulation.
Let the regulations be damned.
And so Sulu says, that's a pretty bold statement for an ensign with only 2 months space duty under his belt. Which I love. I love that line.
Yeah, so the thing that Sulu is wanting to do is go save Dr. McCoy and Kirk, who have been, I guess, wrongfully imprisoned for supposedly killing a Klingon ambassador or something. Yeah.
Who could say?
Yeah.
Once again, we'll get to that in a later episode.
I had to step away for a minute. Did y'all talk already about the conversation that Janeway has where she's like, they were cowboys back then? Did you already do that scene?
Not yet. I do have some notes about it, though.
It was a very different time, Mr. Kim. Captain Sulu, Captain Kirk, Dr. McCoy. They all belonged to a different breed of Starfleet officers.
Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss it.
Well, I think that's next, isn't it?
Oh, good. I came back just in time.
Well, that's the... that happens right after Tuvok stands up to Sulu about going against regulations.
Mm-hmm.
So that... If you want to talk about that right now, that would be perfect.
Okay. The big thing about it that I think, one, I think it's weird that she's talking to Harry about it, but whatever, that's fine. But two, for Tyler, the guy she's talking to. Don't worry about it. I forgot we weren't going to give you names of anybody. We were going to make you name anybody that you didn't know their name of, but I haven't been doing a good job of that. So anyway, my thought was, like, we just watched an original series episode, and then jumping straight to this, where she's, like, romanticizing how, like, oh, they broke the law all the time back then and shot a lot of people. I'm curious how that stood up to you, Tyler.
Well, I think it's impressive that after what happened on the last episode, Sulu somehow rose through the ranks. Like, he was just running around sword fighting people.
Oh, that's what I was going to bring up. That's what I was going to bring up. I was like, so seeing Sulu from the last episode to this episode, how do you feel about Sulu?
I like him. He was like the highlight of this episode. The rest of this episode was kind of dull and boring, but then Sulu's there just like saying a few sentences every now and then, and those are good.
You better believe it.
George Takei really eats scenery in this episode.
Yeah, so
in the best way.
Before watching this, I'd only seen George Takei on an episode of Scrubs where he's officiating Turk and Carla's wedding, and Turk looks at him and goes, "Mr. Sulu?" And he goes, "No." "No, my child," or something like that.
Mr. Sulu? No, son.
But before we switch topics, I do love that scene where Janeway talks about Federation history. Because, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, I thought it was kind of a cool aspect, you know?
It connects to what you were saying earlier, Eric, about Star Trek, like, inventing canon on the fly, but this is like them not doing that. This feels like the kind of conversation that you would have in the original series where Kirk would be like, oh, those damn sneaky Romulans or something, except you're like, but it actually happened. And so all the stuff she's saying, you're like, no holodecks.
It's like, oh, I remember that episode.
It's like when, wait, we're not going to spoil Picard. I was going to reference when something happened to Picard that reminded me of this, but I think we should not spoil Picard in case people are listening to this, but not Picard. Can I tell you?
That's a really good point.
Can I tell you my major problem with this episode, which will also serve as a way for us to skip a whole lot of plot and get towards the end of the episode?
Sure.
Okay. First problem. Yeah, I know, Addy. First problem, like I said, is, look, it's a Sulu episode, and then it takes 17 minutes for him to show up. Second problem is you're like, all right, it's an episode where Sulu's going to team up with Tuvok and Janeway, except for that doesn't happen until 7 minutes to the end of the episode, because the whole conceit about, like, Janeway's just a ghost. It means that, like, Sulu doesn't actually get to be an active character on the show, really. It's like, he's just doing stuff, but Janeway is
like
trying
a background
to solve...
character.
Well, yeah, like, the problem that he's facing with battling the Klingons isn't actually the plot of the episode. And he doesn't interact with Janeway. He interacts with Tuvok, but not our Tuvok, with, like, Ensign Tuvok. And so it's just weird. And so, like, basically a whole bunch of stuff happens, and then the brain issue gets worse, and then suddenly they can see that he's there, but that also doesn't matter. Like, nothing comes of it. It's just he looks at Janeway and goes, "Who the hell are you? Get off my bridge." And that's pretty much all you get of, like, them interacting.
Because then they just reset it, and she steals some clothes from someone.
Hey,
and I thought it was really funny.
Hey, wait. Hey, Tyler. Psst. Tyler. Yeah. Did you catch who she stole clothes from?
I cheated.
You cheated because she was in the episode we watched. She was in the last episode.
She was... I think, like, pretty much the only thing she did in the last episode was Kirk looked at her, and he was going to touch her hair, and then he was like, no.
He was like, no, wait, I love my shit more than this woman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically.
That is Yeoman, now Commander Janice Rand, and Janeway just knocks her out and steals her clothes.
Yeah, and Tuvok's like, well, she's like, we could have just asked for her clothes, and Tuvok's like, asking for a female officer's clothes might be a little sus. And then he's saying that as taking her clothes off of her while she's passed out.
That's way less sus. Just knock her out and steal her clothes. Way better.
Yeah.
So then they figure out that it's a brain virus that he picked up from his buddy when he was dying
80 years ago.
And it disguises itself as a memory. And when it thinks its host is dying, it transfers into a new host and disguises itself as a traumatic memory so that the host blocks it out or something. And they zap Tuvok with, I don't know,
radiation.
Some sort of radiation, thermodynamic radiation, or I don't know, something. Then it goes away.
It goes into Janeway first,
Yep.
and you see little Janeway holding on to the girl's hand, and then we get a whole flash of like a bunch of people going all the way back to a cave person.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with that? It's like a caveman kid.
Yeah.
Particularly, we see Tuvok's old like roommate or whatever, because that's who we got it from.
Yeah,
when he
Dimitri.
died. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this is the episode where we find out why Tuvok left Starfleet for so many years.
See, you say that, MC, and I'm going to spoil this for Tyler. No, this is not the episode where we find out why Tuvok left Starfleet for so many years. This is where the episode where we find out that Tuvok left Starfleet for so many years. Because that doesn't exist before this. They're just like, it just happens in this, and you're like, huh? So he was in Starfleet, and then he quit Starfleet, and then he came back to Starfleet, and somehow Janeway doesn't know this? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm a little upset about it.
For some reason, it wasn't in his records.
Yeah,
Like, maybe he just didn't put it on his resume. I don't know.
Starfleet forgot.
Vulcans are very private.
Well, that's true.
I thought it was funny. This is just random thing that we skipped over. When he's talking about why he came back to Starfleet, and he's talking about like he was doing this thing to like strip himself of emotion and make himself pure, and then something unfortunate happened, and he took a spouse and had a kid, and he refers to it as something unfortunate.
Do you remember the term?
Nope.
All right.
Ponfar.
Yeah, the term is Ponfar. My question is, Tyler,
right.
what do you think Ponfar is? Becky just laughed from downstairs.
Fucking?
What was your guess?
I said fucking.
Fair enough. We will find out eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's it, right? Did we cover it all? I feel like that's everything.
Well, there was a certain character that showed up on the view screen in this episode. Do we want to talk about him?
Yeah, you can talk
the
a little bit.
Klingon. What was his name? Let me find out. Kang.
What was his... Oh, yeah.
It was
Kang.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Tyler, good job making note of his name.
Do we... I'm trying not to spoil too much here.
Ball's in your court,
Sorry.
Eric.
Okay. I'm pretty sure we see this guy again. Am I right?
You are right. This is not Kang's only appearance in Star Trek. We will see Kang again.
Mm-hmm.
Is this Kang's first appearance? Because I assumed that he was in Star Trek before, because Sulu was like,
Nice to see you again, Kang.
and it'd be weird if he's like, good to see you again, and it's the first time that
That's a good
we've seen
point.
him. Yeah.
I believe he shows up before this, yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive. And the only reason I'm a little hesitant is because there's a couple Klingon names that are very similar.
Yeah, you've got like Kang and Kor and Koloth, and
Kord.
there's a lot of K names.
Exactly. A lot of K names. Yep.
I'm pretty
Kyle.
sure Kang shows up in the original
Kalis.
series.
I think he does. There's, I want to say 3 Klingons from the original series that make appearances in other series.
Oh, I know where... Oh, no, wait, that's... I don't think that...
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah, we can't say too much, I don't think. Yeah.
There's an episode of Deep Space Nine. I don't think he's in it,
Mm-hmm.
but he's mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say anything more, but I really want to.
Don't give anything
Yeah, the reason
away.
for our hesitation, Tyler, is because there's so much more we could talk about with the connections in this episode.
Yeah.
But we want to let you discover them on your own.
Discover them. I'm going to say that like it's a hint, and maybe it is, maybe it
Emphasis.
isn't. I'm going to tell you one thing about
started
this.
Discovery.
So this episode was the... are we done? Can I talk about some behind-the-scenes things that I think are
Are
interesting?
we about to talk about Dark
Sure.
Seduction Week? I just remembered that.
That was from the
Did anybody
trailer.
look up what that
I
was?
never looked
No, I
that
did
up.
not.
No, I kind of didn't want to Google it.
While Troy talks, I got to look up Dark Seduction.
Okay, so this was the 30th anniversary episode. That's why Sulu's here. Is because Star Trek was celebrating the 30th anniversary of the original series.
I remember they made a big deal about that,
But
too.
also, here's what's fun about it. So they made a big deal of it, like you said, Eric. There's a whole lot of buzz on the internet about this. So much so that a friend of George Takei's called him up and was like, dude, you're going to be in Voyager. Congratulations. And he was like, well, what? And he called his agent and was like, I hear I'm going to be in Voyager.
What?
And his agent was like, what? And then after that, he found out. So it was on the internet before either him or his agent knew about it. And then the same thing happened with the actress who played Janice Rand, where she found out from a friend from the internet before either she or her agent knew about it.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So this kind of goes directly against what I said about in my prediction. I'm like, well, it must be like real good if George Takei's like, yeah, I'll come back.
Yeah, they wrote it and were like, hey, you want to come back? And he's like, I guess. But Uhura was supposed to be in it, and Nichelle Nichols was like, this part sucks, no. Because all they had her doing was like calling up Sulu and being like, hey, Kirk's in trouble. And she's like, I'm not coming in for that, no. And they're like, oh, yeah. Okay, we'll just skip over that then. But here's the last interesting thing I have.
I'm kind of glad she turned it down. That would have been kind of insulting to her character.
A little bit. I mean, that's all she ever did.
Well, that's true.
Here's the other fun part, though.
But it wouldn't be a great, thing to kind of emphasize.
Let's talk about insulting to the character or insulting to the actor. Both George Takei and the actress who played Janice Rand were under the impression when they did this episode that this was a backdoor pilot for a Captain Sulu show. But there was no intention to make that happen. Some of the people making Star Trek were quoted later as saying like, oh yeah, that would have been a good idea. But like, it was not actually ever in the cards. But they both thought that it was.
That's awful.
Because honestly, the whole, like, everything that's happening in the background with Sulu is way more interesting than the actual plot of the episode. Because like, I want to know like about like Kirk and McCoy, like what's happening there, like what they do, how they get out of it. Because apparently Kirk gets himself out of it.
The show's just like, nope, too bad. We're gonna focus on brain viruses.
Yeah.
That seems like a good time, Tyler, to ask, what'd you think? Good, bad, or meh?
So I was going to say that this was a meh episode, and I was going to say that watching this made me like the first episode we saw more, and I wanted to know if I could change my opinion on that one to say it's a good episode, because it was really fun, because this was very boring. There were like, every time Sulu showed up, I was like, oh, this is nice, and that's like the only parts of the episode that were enjoyable. So I think I'm actually going to say this one's a bad episode.
We concur. And basically the same thing. Like, we've been chatting about this behind the scenes, and we're basically saying, like, yeah, the Sulu episode in here is good, but then there's this other crap going on that's, like, actually the plot, and it's just, ugh. So, yeah, we call this bad, too.
The plot was just dumb.
But,
like, the fact that the Sulu stuff was basically a C plot. There's usually an A and a B plot, but the Sulu stuff was extraneous.
Yeah.
There wasn't any point in having it in there. What were we saying, MC?
I was going to say, like, the whole Voyager bit, like, that was the worst part of this episode. Like, especially the whole virus thing, like, a brain virus that jumps host to host.
Through mind melts, specifically.
Yeah,
right?
No.
You got it from a human.
Well, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
No, yeah.
Never mind.
And the thing is it replicates a suppressed memory and then hides in your subconscious and then just lives in you.
Yeah, it sounds like it would only be dangerous to a Vulcan. Like anybody else, like they just wouldn't know they had it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I don't understand what triggered it in him 80 years later. I know they said it was like radiation or something from the nebula.
No. It was just seeing that it was the visual stimuli of the nebula.
So in 80 years, he didn't see another nebula?
Not one that looked just that particular shade of blue.
Yeah, they say the only thing the two nebulas have in common, essentially, is a slight solarium.
Solarium?
I can't say that word today.
It is?
Yeah. So
you say that, why can't I say it today like you say that daily?
Every other day I can say Silurium just fine.
So I have a Deep Cuts reference question for Troy and MC.
Okay.
Did you guys catch the Yorktown reference in this?
No, I didn't notice it.
Apparently, I think it was Tuvok's dad sent a message from Yorktown.
Oh.
Do you think that was supposed to be the ship or the space station?
I would assume the ship.
Or the street I work on in real life.
I just thought that was kind of interesting.
It'd probably be the space station, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yorktown is a space station, isn't it? I was thinking it was
I don't think we actually saw the Yorktown until, like, that last movie, though. So...
Do you guys want to know more about Dark Seduction Week?
I'd love to hear more.
Because I found
about
very
Dark
little.
Seduction
But
Week.
I think it has something to do with syndication.
Let's hear it.
I'd love to hear
it. The computer froze. 1 second.
Sounds exciting.
There we go.
Seduced by the unknown.
Who the hell are you?
Seduced by the unexplained.
I've wanted this for so long.
Oh.
Seduced by the unimaginable.
We want you.
Once you've tasted the temptation of pure evil,
Don't be afraid.
there's no escaping. My God. Dark Seduction Week on Star Trek Voyager.
I am pretty sure that all of those episodes are on the list, and I'm pretty sure they're all on the same part of the list that this episode is on.
Just the fact that they threw in Solo's, my God.
Yeah, no, like, what was really being seduced in this episode? Because this was part of Dark Seduction Week.
Listen, they were seduced
The
by the brain
parasite
parasite.
seduced Tuvok.
I guess.
You're saying it all wrong. It's Dark Seduction Week.
Seduced.
Yeah.
All right.
It's the same guy that does the pay-per-view ad.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive.
You gotta do that in a world.
Yeah.
Tyler. Question number
Troy.
1. Do you think that Majel Roddenberry was in this episode?
No.
Correct. She was not. Question 2. How many characters from Star Trek Voyager can you name?
That's a good one.
Kess. I only knew that name because Eric said it a lot, or Troy did. One of you said it a lot. So I have Kess. Is the doctor's name the Doctor?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Janeway. Tuvok, who I want to call Turok. Do I know anyone else? Is Sulu a Voyager character?
No, Sulu does not count as a
Technically,
Voyager
yes.
character.
He does. Okay, I think that's all I can name.
Okay, question...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Nilix.
Neelix, yes. Question whatever one. I don't remember what question we're on.
3.
What is Star Trek Voyager about?
Well, that's a good question right there.
I don't really think that this episode gave me much to go on. It appears to be about the USS Voyager, and they're just like, I don't know if they're exploring space, because it kind of sounds like they already explored a lot of space, and they're just like floating around looking for Ceruleum.
That's pretty much the plot of the show, yeah. Tyler, what is a tribble?
I don't know. I imagine it's a Furby.
Did you spot a tribble in this episode?
Nope.
All
Should
right.
I?
Tyler, what lessons learned could we take from this?
So I actually wrote something down for this because I saw this question coming. And the only lesson I could say that we could learn from this is there's something in here that we didn't really mention about your elders, like kind of knowing best sometimes. Because I wanted to call him Turok again. Tuvok. There's a whole like subplot about his parents wanting him to join Starfleet, and he's like, no, this is stupid. So then he joins it, and then he quits, and then he has a kid of his own, and then he's like, you know what? Maybe I didn't know what was best for myself when I was a young 29-year-old. Just a kid. Yep.
I think this is
Troy,
the last one.
did you learn that lesson when you had a kid?
Yeah, I've definitely rejoined the military because I have a wife and child, so therefore I'm going to join the military to get away from them, I guess is what Tuvok learned. I have problems with the lesson you learned, is what I'm trying to say. Now that I have a wife and children, I'm going to peace the F out. Bye! When, in relationship to the other Star Trek you have seen, does Voyager take place?
In it takes place after the original series and before Picard.
Any estimates on how long after and before?
That's a good point.
I'm guessing.
Let's simplify and say in relation to Picard specifically.
Okay,
How
I
much-
can't
how
tell
much-
you in
starting
relation
point.
to Picard, but I would say in relation to the original series, it's probably like 100-ish years later. Because
I think that's close. I don't actually have an answer to that.
I mean,
in
like,
front of
what
me.
happened? I know it's somewhere between 80 and 100 years, because that whole thing happened 80 years ago,
There
and
you go.
yeah.
Yep. That's about right.
MC, Eric, anything else before we go to the list?
Did anyone have a favorite moment or line? Any last minute thoughts from the episode?
I mean, everything Sulu said was pretty good.
You better believe it.
So my absolute favorite line was when Sulu said,
Like tossing a match into a pool of gasoline.
Oh, I wanted to mention that because I wanted to ask you, are they still using gasoline for things? They got ceruleum.
no.
Like, what?
But
why
just
do
the
you,
imagery of that saying.
who was that
Like
for?
For the audience, of course.
That was for the audience.
Okay.
Because most people, I would assume in the 24th century, most people would know what a match is, and most people might not be very familiar with gasoline at this
Yeah, that's
point.
what I was thinking. I was like, two folks be like,
Or a pool, for that matter. I don't know, maybe.
two folks like, I got this whole ceruleum laser thing, but gasoline and a match. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you going on about?
We should have been like, no, it'd be kind of like if we ignited a nebula full of ceruleum. That's what it would be like, because that's what
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
is.
that would be much more familiar to them.
Mr. Tuvok, light the match.
I did think there was some funny lines at the end of it where Janeway and Tuvok are talking about how he's like, I don't have nostalgia for it, and she's for like hanging out with like Kirk and everyone, and she's like, in a weird way I feel like I was part of it, and he's like, great, you can have my nostalgia.
Tyler, I got one more question for you. What are your thoughts on the actual Voyager, the ship itself? Like, compared to other ships you've seen, what do you think of the design?
The outside of the ship, I didn't like how they changed. I think it's maybe the deflector. I didn't like the shape of it. the round thing.
The round thing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The inside, they need better lighting. It's so dark.
So dark, so dark.
They have all that ceruleum. They can get like brighter lights. Like they can power them.
I don't know. See, the darker lighting doesn't bother me too much on this show. It's just that the tone of the show doesn't always match it as it should.
If you can see my background, it's very capable of being lit up fairly well.
Yeah.
They just don't.
I bet people are tripping over things constantly.
There's actually an episode about how handy capable Star Trek design is, but we'll get to that one later if Tyler picks it off of the big list.
Oh yeah, I meant to be pulling up the
I'm
list in the
excited.
background, but I didn't. Listen to me scroll.
The best part of the show.
Do you have the list handy?
I mean, there might also be another reason why the lights are so dim on Voyager, but but that can come up later when we watch another episode of Voyager, and
Totally.
such things can be discussed.
Someone walks into engineering and realizes that there's like a dial where they can like adjust the lighting.
It's great.
Spreadsheets. Troy, sing a song.
Oh, this is a song that never ends. And now it's in Becky's head. She'll go on and sing in it forever just because. This is a song that never ends.
Okay, so I've got the list now, and I already knew what episode I was going to pick. I just had to look up the name of it.
Oh man.
So, Oh, and it just disappeared. So, first episode was a virus episode.
Mm-hmm.
Second episode was a virus episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured let's just keep this virus thing going, and I'm going to guess that The Naked Now is also a virus episode.
Yes, I'm so excited. Wait.
Oh my god.
I'm so excited that you picked this one.
Me too.
I can't actually remember which this one is.
I have a lot to say about this episode, but we'll get to that.
All right, you ready? It's going to be super loud. And here we go.
On the next episode of Star Trek The Next Generation,
They're all dead.
a contaminated ship is spreading a strange disease.
It is definitely like alcohol intoxication.
And the new Enterprise is on a galactic collision course.
What we're seeing, sir, is a huge chunk of the star's surface blown away, heading for us.
Now, the crew faces
Look at
disaster
Data.
We're not gonna make it.
Look at Riker.
on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to watch an episode of TNG.
Yeah. We're finally getting to next gen.
I'm so glad this is the next one.
I've really wanted to see like where Picard came from. and Riker
You're
and
definitely about
Data.
to.
I don't know
Riker,
anyone
Data,
else.
the whole family, everybody's there.
Oh yeah, Troy. I forgot about Troy.
How could you? I'm right here.
Are we allowed to say which episode this is yet?
Yes, so this is... God, is it episode 2? It can't be episode
It's
2.
very early on. It's
really?
very early on. I wanted to say episode
This is
3.
well,
but-
okay. So the first episode is a two-parter, and then it's this. This
Yeah.
is the second episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep.
The Naked Now, season 1, episode 2. Tyler, what do you think of the trailer so far? Other than just being excited that it's next gen.
I'm just excited that it's next gen, honestly, and also like it feels familiar since we just saw The Naked Time, and it looks like it's related because they've got that intoxication virus, and also there was a styrofoam person that the person that I previously thought was named Data was holding.
It really was.
Oh man, this is gonna be fun. Tyler, tell me, do you think this is a good or a bad episode?
I'm gonna guess it's a good episode.
Okay.
Okay.
It'll at least be a fun episode, maybe.
Well, go ahead, MC.
I think it's very funny that just by happenstance, you've chosen two relevant episodes about Star Trek to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And to continue on with that, you were like, oh yeah, that one's definitely about a virus as well. So you chose another
I'm gonna be
virus
real
episode.
impressed if you pick another virus episode for
man.
episode 4.
Yeah.
Because there's at least a few more on
true.
the list, I want to say.
Tyler, do plugs because I have an
Yeah.
ending line, but I'm not allowed to say it until you do plugs.
I have a feeling I know which one MC's thinking about.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, so plugs. You can listen to more of MC and Troy on the best animated shows ever so far, where they watch, rank, and review every cartoon ever so far, based on the first 3 episodes. Right now, they're watching Men in Black. Did you have an episode? No, you had Kai last week.
Yeah,
So this week's
episode
Men in
1 of
Black.
Men in Black will be the same day as this.
Okay, cool. Because I remember you talking about it last week, and I was like, did I not listen? But I listened to the Kai episode. So yeah, you can find more of Eric's work on Epic Fells of History. That's Epic with a K, where he talks about humanity's greatest failures and what we can learn from them. Is your next episode going to be the Earth Day episode?
That one's definitely in the works, and I'm hoping to have an episode out before then as well. Hopefully before this episode drops. And I've been saying that for like a month, but I just have trouble, finding the time to really focus on editing. The kids are home all the time.
All the time.
The kids are home all the time.
They never leave.
Oh, I forgot.
They're doing school from home, but they're like really quick at getting their schoolwork done, and then they just hang around.
Never mind. Forget that I said I forgot something.
Okay, Troy forgot that
you
he
sure?
forgot. Anyways, ignoring that Troy forgot that he forgot. We've also got Podcasters Assemble going on, and it's James Bond. You can submit for any James Bond movie except for, what are we up to? What's the next one? Goldfinger?
Goldfinger, the deadline will just be passed when this drops. So if you're listening to this, Thunderball is still open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you could just submit talking about what you like about it. Basically, try and submit for only ones you like about, because there's a lot of bad things you could say about Bond movies, probably. I haven't seen one. No, I have seen one. I forgot. I did see that. That's for another thing. I can't talk
exactly
about
one.
Yeah. So that thing that I can't talk about eventually is going to have a new episode that's about James Bond, which is too young for this hit. Mm-hmm. And the James Bond movie I've seen isn't what that episode's about. Actually, it's about a different one that I haven't seen yet.
I have no idea of what you're talking about. I'm
Don't
so
worry
confused.
about it, Troy.
Our poor listeners right now are like, what?
This will make sense 5 months from now.
Assuming you listen to the thing I'm talking about. So you can find links to everything I just mentioned in the show notes, except for the thing that I haven't done yet that's about James Bond that Troy's confused about, that I'm making even more confused by talking more now. Troy's head looks like it's hurting. But you can find links to our social media and a link to our Discord, where you could be the second person to join. And you can chat with us about Star Trek Picard and other stuff.
And other Star Trek.
I should take Picard out of that.
Yeah,
you
just
could
Star
talk
Trek.
to us about Picard, but yeah, you'd be late to the party. So Troy, how do we end it?
I actually got someone to join the Discord.
Yeah, wait, we've got 2 people.
2 people.
We now have 2 people.
We're waiting for listener number 3 to join. Y'all, I would love to keep chatting, but there was just like a general hail that went out asking everybody to go to Tasha Yar's quarters, so I think we need to beam over there ASAP. 4 to beam out.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
@ProbablyWork
for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.